Hey,
Can I look at some zombie robots today?
I'm recording right now, so you can't do it right now. You can sit here with me, but we can't do that. Happy Monday morning, everyone. Hope everybody's had a great weekend. If you have not yet sent a text to my text number, the number is 305 384 6894. Make sure you get your text in. The weekly motivation text is coming out at 10 o'clock this morning. It is coming out at 10 o'clock on the dot this morning. So if you have not yet sent a text, I just put the number there in the text, in the comments. I don't think they let me pin my own comments. They won't let me pin it. So moderators, any moderator who is in here, pin that comment right there for 60 seconds so that everybody can see it. And we're going to get started in a moment. Let me get this pinned over here. Oh, that's pinned. It is, I just posted it. It says text for a daily motivation 305 384 6894. It's the only comment that came from me. If any of you see it. Anyway, as y'all come in, I'm talking about TikTok. Nina Bambina over there on Instagram, I'm talking about TikTok. I can't pin my comment on TikTok. I can pin it everywhere else. So we're pinned over on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble Studio. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning on LinkedIn. We are good. I don't know if I can pin a comment on LinkedIn. I don't need to pin a comment on LinkedIn. Facebook, you can pin comments. That has happened. Let me make sure we're good on X. On X, we are good. We are live on X. Good morning. We are live on Instagram. Good morning. We're live on TikTok. My name's on Rumble, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn is all the same. Dre all day. My name on Facebook is Work on Your Game University. My name on Instagram is at Dre Baldwin, and on TikTok it is Work on Your Game. And let me get some ventilation going in here properly. And as y'all coming in, shout yourselves out shout out your locations in the comments. I forgot to tell y'all that. Shout out your locations in the comments as y'all coming in. Tell me your locations in the comments as you come in. Locations in the comments as you come in. And I'll shout a few people out. Then we'll get started. Today's topic, we're going to talk about the idea, some are saying, that Trump and the Trump administration, at least, they committed a war crime last weekend with this airstrike that they did in the Southern Caribbean. Now, what I hear this morning is that the state of Illinois and their governor, Mr. Pritzker, is claiming that Donald Trump has declared war on the city of Chicago, which is ridiculous. He didn't do that. But of course, y'all know how they reframe everything that Trump says, does, or allegedly thinks. We're going to get into that. So shout yourselves out in the comment section. Let me shout a few people out. Tell me your locations in the comment section. And please like the live as y'all are coming in on TikTok. And we will get into it. Good morning, Courtney. Thank you for liking the live early. Thank you, everybody, liking the live early. Murphy the Mutt, Bristol, Tennessee. Good morning to you. Let's see. So you don't see it? Yeah, okay. Carla, Indiana. Good morning. Gemini, Gypsy. Yes, it is Monday. That is true. Confirmed. Let's get to it. Courtney, 305-384-6894. Yes, that is the number. So make sure y'all send me a text so you can get the weekly motivation text, daily motivation text. Those come out. Well, weekly comes out every Monday. The Monday weekly motivation is coming out at 10 a.m. this morning. So if you're not in my text community yet, which is free to join, send a text to the number 305-384-6894. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit is in the building. Carol Ann Collins, New York. Good morning. Wifey Tips, good morning from Arizona. 140.6 Walnut Creek, California. Billie Jean from Indiana. Giga Dad, good morning from Western North Carolina. Carla said, I watched Everything is a Rich Man's Trick, eye-opening. Oh, that's the video I mentioned on Friday. Shout out to people who went and caught up on that. I think it had been out for a long time before I even saw it. And yeah, that number that y'all see pinned in the comments by Courtney there, that is my text message number. Send a text to that number so you can get text messages from me. My weekly motivation, daily motivation text message comes from that number. So send a text there and you can get that text. The weekly motivation comes out every Monday. It's coming out at 10 o'clock. So it is 8:20 right now. So you can be on the list and get that text when it comes out at 10 if you are in the text community. So Carlos, shout out to you. You went and watched that documentary. Mary M., good morning from San Antonio. Happiness Now, good morning from ATL. Sam said, Megyn Kelly even said Trump is wrong, have some integrity. Well, Sam, you're starting off the day with what we call the appeal to authority, logical fallacy. Appeal to authority, logical fallacy.
You're not that guy. Okay. You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
That's somebody said something, so that must mean that it is unchallengeable and it must be agreed with. That's not true. I like Megyn Kelly's show. Doesn't mean everything that Megyn Kelly says must be accepted and agreed with. So, Sam, congratulations to you starting the day with a fallacy before we even got into the content. And then you said have some integrity. So,
is that like a personal attack or something?
You're attacking my integrity because I happen to disagree with Megyn Kelly. So, are we saying anything she says you have to agree? So, if you disagree with her, would that mean you have no integrity? Sam, that's a very poor frame you start off the day with. We can't start off Mondays like this. Miss Independent from Ohio, good morning. Art Decor, checking in from New York, good morning. Frederick Sullivan from Missouri. Square Body said Trump war, not game, war crime. And I haven't gotten into the content yet. Stay tuned. Marky Man from Sacramento, good morning. Sam said it's not an appeal to authority. I'm saying you can have some integrity. You don't have to defend Trump when he's wrong. Actually, it is an appeal to authority because you use Megyn Kelly's name as a defense for your point. That's an appeal to authority. You use her name. You said even Megyn Kelly said it, which means what? That means that nobody can disagree because Megyn Kelly said it. I mean, Donald Trump's the president, Sam. I mean, if we're going to play the authority game, who has more authority, Donald Trump or Megyn Kelly? I would say Donald Trump. So here you are agreeing with Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump said it. Have some integrity, Sam. Why are you disagreeing? I mean, you see how that can get flipped around so easily? So that's why it's a fallacy. Saying that somebody said something, somebody who is a noted person, whoever they happen to be, president, a journalist, influencer, whatever, just because somebody says something does not mean that it can't be challenged and doesn't mean that anybody's wrong for going against what they said. That's the reason why critical thinking is at such a premium these days because so few people do it. They leverage what somebody else said. I didn't say anything positive or negative about Donald Trump or his behavior yet. All I said was we're going to talk about this alleged war crime that Donald Trump committed last week. I haven't even explained what it was. I haven't even said what he did. I haven't even told you what I think about it. All I said was that's what we're going to talk about. All I did was introduce the topic, and already somebody's TDS is showing. But that's completely okay. This is what we do here. So this is the reason why we have a comment section, the reason why I read the comments.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
So we appreciate you coming in early with this. And TR, thank you for the follow. Square Body said, Trump is the best president USA has ever had. Okay, you're entitled to that opinion. PK Arnold McFry, good morning. Carlos said, it's too early for shenanigans. Well, no, it's not, obviously. Dean said, Host really doesn't understand fallacy. He said, understand he doesn't say anything he doesn't like is a fallacy. Okay, what I get wrong about explaining that fallacy? How did I get it wrong? I explained exactly what the appeal to authority fallacy is. If I say Donald Trump said it, so it must be true, that's an appeal to authority. If you say LeBron James said it, so it must be true, that is also a fallacy. Saying that something must be true simply because someone with a position of authority or notoriety also says it does not make it true. That's an appeal to authority fallacy, even if they are right. If Michael Jordan says basketball is played 5-on-5, that's just factually true. If Michael Jordan says, well, I think the best player today is LeBron, and I say, well, even Michael Jordan said it, so nobody can challenge it, that's an appeal to authority fallacy. Even if I agree with his position, that makes it a fallacy because the structure of the argument is logically inaccurate. You can't defend an argument by saying, well, somebody else said it, so we have to agree with it. How many of you were alive 5 years ago when the Center for Disease Control said, hey, stand 6 feet apart and put a cloth mask on your face, therefore nothing bad can happen to you, or get the jab so that you're not going to get the virus? Or the appeal to authority costs a lot of people medically in ways that they probably don't want to recap. So again, That is exactly how the fallacy works. So then people say, when you point out somebody's fallacy, this is a common thing that happens. It doesn't happen here as often, but it happens on X a lot, is that somebody will use a fallacy. Then I'll point out that they use the fallacy. And what they'll try to do is what we call the poisoning the well fallacy. They'll defend their fallacy with another fallacy. And they'll say, well, this guy doesn't understand how fallacies work. That's another common defense mechanism people use. When you point out their fallacy, they say, well, you didn't explain the fallacy right. I just explained it to you. And if I have it wrong, go ahead and tell me how I have it wrong. Go ahead. I'm reading your comment. So anyway, Woody, good morning. Move Maker said, what about the airports in 1776? What is that referring to? Don't know what you're talking about. Sam said, you're being dishonest. I'm not saying she's right because she's Megyn Kelly. Sam, you literally said, even Megyn Kelly said it. That's literally what you said. If you agree with a certain position, just state the position. Why are you using Megyn Kelly's name? You're using her name to add credibility to the point. That is a appeal to authority fallacy. That's what it is. Carl said, please let him get to his content. But they're not stopping me, Carl. I just happen to be reading this. This is funny. TR, good morning. Woody said, my position in college currently. All right, so let's get into this, folks. On September 2nd, 2025, this was about, 6 days ago last week, what happened is the U.S. military executed a dramatic airstrike in the Southern Caribbean. There was some boat that was alleged to be operated by the Venezuelan gang called Tren de Aragua, and they were suspected of trafficking, narcotics towards the United States. This is their version of why they did what they did. They think that this boat was about to bring some narcotics into the USA, and the USA preemptively struck and destroyed the boat. And there were 11 people on the boat, all 11 people deceased, and the USA destroyed this boat. Now, the operation was conducted in international waters, technically. So they either used a military helicopter or some drone. And it was publicly announced by Donald Trump. And he labeled these groups narco-terrorists. So this was his explanation of why the USA did what they did, is that this group is a narco-terrorism group. And that's why it justifies his actions. Now, this action followed a major U.S. naval buildup in the region that included warships, F-35 jets, and 4,000 personnel. Now, the administration defended the strike, as I just said, as a strategic deterrent. So they're saying that we're doing this preemptively because these guys are doing the wrong thing, and they probably left the bodies in the water to send a message to everybody else. Now, that's a joke. But they're doing this as a strategic deterrent to let everybody else know, hey, if you violate, we'll do the same thing to you. And they cited national security concerns and existing counterterrorism authorities. So Trump has declared this group, Tren de Aragua, as a terrorist group. And because of that, the administration has a little bit more leeway in terms of what they can do versus what they can't do once you declare a group a terrorist group. And that's why the counterterrorism thing is mentioned here. Critics, on the other hand, they condemn the move as potentially illegal, i.e. a war crime, raising alarms about extrajudicial use of force, meaning using force and he didn't go through the courts in order to do it. Insufficient legal justification, people saying he didn't have enough justification legally to do what he did, and it risks into escalated military conflict. All right, that's the introduction of what happened here. So I saw a few people, these two white guys, the Krasenstein brothers on X. I can't tell one from the other, but they will post stuff every now and then, and they were talking about this. And actually, let me pull that up because there was an interesting exchange between one of them and J.D. Vance, between one of the Krasenstein brothers and J.D. Vance, where he said, it was right here. So J.D. Vance posted, everybody knows J.D. Vance, right? Vice President. J.D. Vance said, killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. So he was just coming out and just announcing this is a good idea. Got 34 million views on X. And he followed that post up with a post right under it saying, Democrats said, let's send your kids to pass away in Russia. And JD says, Republicans say, actually, let's protect our people from the scum of the earth. So JD is just saying that these people are bad people, so we did the right thing, and he labeled them as cartel members who are poisoning our fellow citizens, so it was the smartest thing for the military to do. Brian Krasenstein, and these guys appear to me, he has almost 1 million followers on X. Him and his brother, I don't know if they're twins or not, look like they're twins. And they are clearly paid Democratic influencers. Doesn't make them bad guys, but they're pretty good at kind of baiting people into conversations about anything on the side of trashing what the Republicans do, supporting anything the Democrats do, the usual dog and pony show. They are very active, these two guys, the Krasenstein brothers. So Brian Krasenstein, he said, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. That's what he says. So this is people taking something that the Trump administration does and they sensationalize it to make it seem even worse. That's where you got the label of the war crime. That's what this is when they said you killed the citizens of another nation. Well, somebody being a citizen of another nation is fine, but if the citizen of another nation is doing something that's illegal, they still face some type of legal ramification, some type of legal response for what they did. So just calling them a citizen of another nation is similar to Mr. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, aka the Maryland Man. You remember the Maryland Man? That they're trying to deport this guy, and he has noted that he doesn't want to get deported back to El Salvador because he fears for his life. Then they suggested 22 other places they tried to deport this guy to, and through his lawyer, he has claimed that he fears for his physical safety in 22 different countries of the world right now. So they can't deport this guy yet because he keeps saying whatever country they tell him they're going to send him to, his lawyer says, well, he fears for his life if we go there or there or there. So this guy fears for his life anywhere in the world that he goes other than staying in Maryland. And right now he's being held. And there's another hearing coming up in October. And I'm bringing him up to right now. They're trying to deport him to this country in Africa that I have never even heard of. And that's where he's stated to go right now. But he keeps claiming that he fears for his life everywhere they say. And now the prosecution is fighting back. And now there's going to be a hearing in October about this guy, the Maryland Man. I'm bringing him up because they started labeling him the Maryland Man instead of calling him what he was, which is a person here without proper documentation who was also noted for being a member of a gang, adjudicated as a member of a gang, which says you get deported. And he had done some crimes here in America that had been reported. Maybe he just hadn't faced proper justification for it. But people on the political left, such as the Krasenstein brothers and others, they start labeling this guy the Maryland Man because it sounds like, well, why would Donald Trump do something bad to a regular Maryland man? But if instead you call him a person without proper documentation, now it frames the entire situation differently. So this is all the language game that these people play. This is the reason why I tell you all that your communication skills was not just your ability to speak and write, but also your ability to understand and interpret how people are talking about things plays a big role in how you see stories. So when they call this a war, Brian Krasenstein, he's the one who introduced this concept that this is a war crime. This got 1.5 million views when he said it. J.D. Vance responded back to Mr. Krasenstein, and he said, I don't give a shit what you call it. That's what J.D. Vance said, the vice president. I don't give a shit what you call it. And people, of course, are sensationalizing this and making it into a big deal. This got viewed 138,000 times. No, 138,000 likes, 15 million views. This is the exchange between J.D. Vance and Brian Krasenstein. 19,000 retweets, 12,000 comments. And let me see if I can see. So, now, of course, half the people who saw it trashed it. Half the people who saw it co-signed it. And people are calling this a war crime when these people were trafficking narcotics towards the United States, and the United States picked them off, and people are calling this a war crime. Now, are people really, really upset about whoever these folks were? Does anybody even know who they were? Can anybody name any of the people who were on that boat? Nobody knows. Does anybody really care about those individual people who were on the boat? How many of y'all think? Give me your comments in the comment section. Yes or no? Does any of you really care about the 11 individuals who were on that boat that got picked off by the U.S. government last week? Give me a yes or a no in the comments. Yes or no, you care about those people, the actual individuals. I'm not even talking about the act yet, just the individuals themselves. And I think for most of you, the answer is no. Nobody even knows who they are. All right, nobody knows their names. None of their names have been mentioned. We probably never even bothered to know their names. The U.S. government has a lot of resources, as I already explained to you, 4,000 people involved in this whole process of watching our waters and what's coming through here. And what happens is with Trump, and this only happens with Trump, this happens in politics all the time, but with Trump, it's gotten multiplied in a big way, is that anything that Trump does, they find a way to sensationalize it and make it seem bad in a negative way to people on the political left. This is pretty much what they do. And the Krasenstein brothers are pretty good at it, which is why I'm mentioning them, because that response from J.D. Vance, the fact that he even responded to this guy and said that, it got a lot of attention. It wasn't even what the Krasenstein brothers said. It was what J.D. Vance said that got a ton of response or a ton of attention. they're calling it a war crime, not because they have a problem with the people losing their lives. Again, I doubt Mr. Bryan could even name any of the people who was on that boat. The thing is, their job, when I say they, what I'm referring to is these paid influencers on the political left, their job is to take anything around Trump or the Trump administration, sensationalize it in a negative way, and then put it out in a way that gets people responding and reacting. And they're very good at it. And the reason why I'm reading this because it got a ton of attention and even got the vice president to respond to him. So obviously this guy's doing a good job of rabble rousing and getting people excited. So calling it a war crime, that's how we ended up where we're at. So let's get into this. First of all, let me introduce myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books and a few TED Talks. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job here is to help you command a room with your presence, energy, performance, discipline, confidence, all done through systems. You can learn more about working with me by going to the link in my profile, or you can very easily just send me a text message at the number you see pinned. Well, you can see it on all the other apps, 305-384-6894. I send out a daily motivation text message every day, also a weekly motivation text every Monday. That weekly motivation is coming out at 10 o'clock a.m. this morning. So if you want to get that message, all you got to do is send a text to that number right there. It is free to get the weekly motivation text, free to join the community. Just text me at that number again, 305-384-6894. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go through the content, then we'll get to the comments. We already seen some logical fallacies early in my introduction here today, and there will be plenty more once we get through this. Why would there be logical fallacies? Not because people are bad people, not because people are dumb, not because people don't understand fallacies, not because, as somebody tried to purport here, that I call something a fallacy when I disagree. It's nothing for me to agree or disagree with because I really have no dog in the race when it comes to politics. Any of you who follow my stuff knows that already. I've said it 100 times. Is because when Donald Trump's name comes up, so many people are so emotionally triggered over this individual and the very idea of him is not him as a person. Is the idea of Trump has so many people emotionally triggered that they will say things that don't logically make sense because people are speaking from emotion, not from logic. And then they try to dress up their emotion as logic, but then when their emotion clouds the logic, then they create logically flawed statements known as logical fallacies. And I'm just pretty good at pointing them out, and it's entertaining to point out people's flawed logic. So that's the reason why we have the logical fallacy soundboard. So you'll be hearing sounds later on today like
Strawberry cheesecake.
Or one I think we'll hear a lot of here today will be
Emotional, damn it.
Or there'll probably be a whole bunch of
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
But it's not time for that yet. Okay? Business before pleasure. Okay, let's take care of these points. First of all, before we even get into this, did y'all see the story of the baseball Karen this past weekend? Did y'all see the baseball Karen story? So the baseball Karen story was a baseball game happening between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Miami Marlins. The game was in Miami. And what happened is a baseball gets hit into the stands and, people go running to try to grab the baseball.
Can we do zombie robot?
I'm still recording. You gotta wait till I finish recording. You want to sit here while I'm recording or no?
No, I don't want to look at zombie robot.
Well, I'm not finished. You gotta wait till I'm done.
Can I look at zombie robots now?
No, you gotta wait. I'm still recording. No. Don't keep asking me. I'm recording. So you can sit here quietly or you can leave. All right, so, baseball Karen, she's reaching down for a baseball. This is an older white woman. She's probably 60. She's reaching down for the baseball. You know how the ball's in the stands and people are trying to pick it up off the ground. She's trying to reach. And this younger white guy, he comes over. He's probably like 35, 40. He comes over and he grabs the ball before the older white woman can get to the ball. So he's quicker. He got faster reflexes. He beat grandma to the baseball. He grabs the baseball. He turns around and walks away. He's holding up the ball all happy. He goes back over to where his family is. He has a daughter there, a son there, and it looks like his wife there. And the son is probably 12, 13. And the son has a glove. You know how the young boys come to the baseball game with a glove, hoping that they might catch a baseball. So he puts the ball in the son's glove, and he gives the son a hug, and his son, I guess, is happy. Now, the baseball Karen, and there's a reason why they call her the baseball Karen, she's an older woman. She is walking like right behind him. She doesn't see him. He doesn't see her walking right behind him. But as soon as he gives his son a hug with the baseball, the woman is right there on him like, yo. And she grabs him by the arm and she starts like reaming him out like, yo. We don't know exactly what she said, but it sounds like she's telling him. Actually, somebody did have the zoom in of what she said. She said, you took that ball from me. I'm about to grab that ball. You took the ball from me. And he's kind of pushing back a little bit. He's not really pushing back. She's really like in his grill and really like talking to him like she's his mom. You took that ball from me. You took that ball from me. Finally, the dad, I guess he got tired of this woman chewing him out, and it's clear that she's not going to let this go. He takes the baseball out of his own son's glove and gives it to the baseball Karen, the older woman. She walks away with the ball, and he's like, yeah, just go away. So basically, he took the baseball he was going to give to his kid, gave it back to the woman who claimed that it was going to be her baseball. Now, there's a whole lot of debate about this. And on one side, you have the woman saying, hey, I was just about to pick that ball up. And I agree that she was about to pick the ball up, but the fact is she didn't pick the ball up. The guy beat her to it. And the thing is, and then you go to a baseball game and the ball lands in the stands, it's first come, first serve. Whoever gets the ball first gets the ball. That's just how it works. That's the reason why when a ball gets hit in the stands, everybody scrambles for the ball. Whoever gets it, gets it. That's the whole point. It's a competition. So you get the ball first. And this dad, who's probably 35, he has faster reflexes than the grandma, and he beat her to the ball. On that side, I can understand him. That's one point. On the second side, if I'm a man and I'm reaching for the baseball and I grab it before the mom gets, and mind you, he's like 10 seats away from where the ball was actually at. He came all the way across the row to get the ball and snatch it from the grandma who was about to grab it. Now, grandma, being that she was about to pick up the ball, I understand why she was mad. I understand why she was pissed off. And she had on Phillies gear. So she's probably a Philadelphian like me, living in South Florida like me. And if she was in Florida, she probably wouldn't have chased after. If she was from Florida, she wouldn't have to chase after the man because that's not the temperature of people down here. But where I'm from, Philadelphia, yes, a woman like that will hunt you down and have no fear of approaching you like, yo, you took that ball from me, give me that damn ball back, was exactly what she did. Y'all can find this video on X. Did y'all see this? Y'all see this whole story? Any of you don't know about it, let me see if I can find the video of baseball Karen, because this was actually pretty funny. I should have showed y'all the video first. Did all y'all see the story of baseball Karen here? All right, let me give y'all the story of baseball Karen.
The Phillies.
I'm going to play the baseball Karen video. All right, so baseball Karen.
The ball hit the fan.
Ball goes into the stands. See, there's the guy in the red. He took the ball. Now, here's baseball Karen right there. Here comes grandma. See, grandma, that's her right there.
She can't believe it.
See how he got scared? She's yelling at him. They're arguing. Now, the boy has the baseball. Now, the dad is like, they're arguing, still arguing. Oh, they didn't show the rest of it. Oh, no, they're still arguing.
Look at the girl in the background. In the left-hand side.
Still arguing. The wife ain't saying nothing. Now, the guy takes the ball and gives it to her. He tells her, go away. And she takes the baseball back, and she's happy because she got the baseball. That's baseball Karen right there. Okay, so that's baseball Karen, for those of you who don't know about it. So, on the one hand, the man beat her to the baseball. I got to give him a point for that. On the other hand, the older lady was mad because this dude beat her to the baseball. And she was pissed off about it, and she let him know about it. I got to give her a point for that. Now, the third thing is, when she went and approached the man, why did he react like that? Like he was scared. Like, dude, you had a baseball game with 30,000 people. Why did he act surprised that somebody had grabbed him like that? I just came back with the baseball. And then the 2 points I got to give to the dad here is that the dad then allowed that woman to, I guess, cuss him out enough that he gave the baseball back. Now, if that's me and I had done the same thing that he did, I'm not giving the baseball back. Like, I'm sorry, lady. You could be mad, but I'll give you. No, I'm not giving her nothing, actually. You're going to have to go wait for another baseball. We could sit here and argue all day, but I'm not giving you that baseball. Get the hell out of my face. That's eventually I'm going to have to call security and tell them, get this woman out of my face. I'm not giving you that baseball. It's my ball. I'm keeping it. If I had the ball like that, I'm keeping it. Now, at the same time, if that woman is grandma and I'm like 40 or 35 or whatever, and I grab the ball before her, I'm going to let her have the ball. I'm going to just let her have the ball because she's way older and I don't need a damn baseball. I would never even do that, first of all. I'm not running all the way across the road to get a fucking baseball. What the hell I could buy a baseball at the store. Buy a baseball on Amazon. So I'm not doing that, first of all, but he did it. He ran over and got the baseball. Now, understand something. He went and put the baseball in his son's glove. Here's the problem I got with this situation. Most people are not looking at it like this. They just focus on the baseball Karen. His son is not some little baby. His son's not like 2 years old. His son's like he's about 12 or 13. Like you saw the little boy, right? The boy looks like he's 12 or 13. He bought a glove with him to the game. So if you bring a glove with you to the game, that means you're hoping that you might catch a baseball. Then if I'm the dad, I'm looking at my son like, mofo, you go get the baseball. Are you the one who brought a glove to the game? Why am I going to get in the baseball for you? I don't have a glove. You got a glove. Go get the ball. You want a ball? Go get it. All right, the ball got hit 8 seats away from us. Run over there and get the damn ball. And he didn't do that. The dad went and got the ball, and gave it to his son. No, fuck that. I would say to the dad, why are you putting in the work when your son's the one who brought a glove to the game? Go get the ball if you want the ball. Now, you don't want to run over there and get the ball. I guess you don't want the ball that much. Then I guess you're going to go home with just a glove, the same thing you came with. I'm not running over to get the ball for him. Another point, the dad's a pussy. All right, the dad's a pussy. Even though, what's going on, B. Miller on Instagram, even though the baseball Karen is getting a ton of backlash, and I understand, as the dad, as I said, if I pick the ball up and I decided I'm keeping it, the case is closed. All right, there is no further discussion. No, I'm not giving you that ball back. I don't care if her husband came over there. You're not getting this ball back. I'm keeping the ball. I got the ball fair and square, which he did by the basic black and white rules of chasing baseballs at baseball stadiums. But then to give the ball back, he looked weak. Now, what happened after the game, for those of you who don't know, after the game, the player on the Phillies who had actually hit the ball in the stands, they found out about it. So here's the player. That's the player from the Phillies, this guy. He went and signed a baseball bat and gave it to the little boy who got his ball taken from him. Gave him the bat, and he probably signed a baseball for him too. And they invited him, I guess, near the locker rooms and all that. And this kid got 24 hours of internet fame because he got his ball, quote unquote, taken from him by the baseball Karen. And then, of course, people went and doxed the baseball Karen. They found out her name, and they're trying to get her fired from wherever she may work or whatever the situation may be. I want to know who y'all on the side with, dad or Karen? Y'all on the side with dad or baseball Karen? Personally, I stand with baseball Karen. And a lot of people disagree with that position. I stand with the baseball Karen. And I'm going to tell you why I stand with the baseball Karen. I stand with the baseball Karen on one principle, is that that dad is probably like 35 years old. Yeah, you don't go snatch a baseball right from the fingertips of a woman who's old enough to be your mom. You don't do that. That's just on that principle alone. I think that principle is bigger than all the other principles described here. Yes, there is a principle of first come, first serve. Yes, there's a principle of the woman has a right to feel slighted because she got beaten to the punch. She has a right to feel that way. Doesn't mean she's right. She has a right to feel the way she felt. Yes, it's cool that the Phillies gave a little kid a bunch of stuff, which ends up better for him than would have been had he went and got the ball. And I combine that with the fact that the little boy had a glove and he didn't go chase after the ball. He sent dad to go get the ball. No, I stand with baseball Karen. All right. I stand with baseball Karen on this. All right. And yeah, she did have more heart than the dad. Yeah, the dad is a pussy. Whoever he is, that didn't look good on him. Whoever he is, he doesn't look good. Even though his son still ends up with a signed baseball bat, and he got to meet a player from the Phillies, and he probably got a signed baseball. And the son made out better with that happening the way that it did than had he just ended up with the baseball. At the same time, the dad looks horrible, even though he ended up winning out. I stand with the baseball Karen on this one. You gotta let the old woman get the baseball. She's 60-something years old. How many chances you gonna have to go get a baseball? You can go get a baseball, dude. You 35. All right, your son's 12. He got a glove. Again, had his son went and got the ball and she went and did that to the boy, she probably wouldn't have did that to the little boy. She would do it to a grown man. She wouldn't do that to a little boy. 12-year-old, nah. 12-year-old, you stand there with the glove. This is the part that I can't get over. How are you standing there with a glove, but I'm going and chasing after the ball? And I got to argue with Karen. I got to argue with baseball Karen for you. And he's standing there the whole time not doing nothing. Why you got the glove? Give me the glove. Shit, I'm the one getting baseballs. That's the way I'm looking at it. So anyway, I stand with baseball Karen. Anyway, continue. Let's get back to the user says she wasn't 60. She got 48 at most. I don't think she was 48. Well, let's split the difference. Let's call her, what is that, 12? Let's call her 54. Let's call her 54. We'll call baseball Karen 54. She was old enough to be that guy's dad. I think she was old enough to be the little boy's grandma and dad's mom. I think she was old enough for that. She might have had the kid when she was 19 or 20. Anyway, let's get back to the topic here today. What we're supposed to be talking about is Donald Trump's war crimes. I think that's more important. So this strike delivers. Let's get serious again here, folks. This strike delivers a clear message. The U.S. is willing to use lethal force against narco-trafficking operations linked to terrorism-style violence. So yes, that does send a clear message, and I think we can agree that the U.S. did send that message. So U.S. officials are claiming that the boat had massive quantities of narcotics, and it was tied to a cartel-based group that has already been noted to be a terrorist group. For that reason, This is how the USA justified their airstrike. Okay. Well, that's what they said. That's what they said. Do we have any other information we can go off of? No. Was any of us there in the water? We just go off of what they told us. Doesn't mean they're telling the truth. Doesn't mean they're lying. That's all they said. Let's continue. Now, critics say that destroying the vessel and taking the lives of those on board instead of intercepting it and arresting them is a reckless use of violence that bypasses due process. Y'all notice all of a sudden due process has become a very interesting word now. Ever since Trump came back into office, everybody's talking about due process. For anyone that the Trump administration is trying to bring to justice, like the Maryland man, like these guys, they're saying, oh, due process, due process, due process. Like people getting deported, Tom Holman and Kristi Noem rounding them up. All of a sudden, there's due process for everybody. What about the due process of these cases that Trump faced in 2024? Now, technically, he got his due process by going to court, but the fact that they even made these cases up out of pretty much nothing. Stormy Daniels case made up pretty much out of nothing. The fraud case with Tisha James made up pretty much out of nothing. They tried to make something out of that RICO case, knew it was going nowhere. The Jack Smith documents case, they made that up. They tried hard to go find the case and make it up. So they went and did the due process basically because they decided that we're going to due process this guy. We're going to due process this guy just because we're trying to get him. Nobody was talking about due process in 2024. Do y'all notice nobody was talking about that term? I didn't hear that term at all last year. Any of you heard it? I didn't hear the term due process at all in 2024. I saw a lot of cases being made out of thin air just to go after Donald Trump. Now, all of a sudden, anyone who's being brought to any form of justice, now all of a sudden we got to do due process before any outcomes happen. It's cherry picking, it's hand picking, it's selective moralizing. And the problem is not that due process is not a thing. Due process is a thing. And anyone who is allegedly on the wrong side of the law is entitled to due process. However, if we're going to do it, then we got to enforce the rules all the time. I told you all in the past, I'm an absolutist on certain things. One thing I'm an absolutist on is if you have a rule, you got to enforce the rule. But you got to enforce the rule consistently. You got to enforce the rule the same way every time, and it applies to everybody the exact same way. Is that the way our justice system works? Yes or no in the comments. So I'm saying that if we have rules, you got to enforce it the same way, the same things every single time against everybody. Is that the way our justice system works? Yes or no? And all of you agree the answer is no. Justice system does not work that way. Justice system decides when a rule is going to be enforced, how much is going to be enforced, or just if it's going to be enforced at all, based on what? Who's in charge and who's the person we might be getting. That's how it works. We all can agree. And many of you have said things like, well, if you have money, you can get away with things in the justice system. Is that true? In many cases, yes, it's true. If you have power, you have connections, you can get away with things in the justice system. Is this true? In many cases, yes, it's true. And I've said this, I've been on the record saying this for years. If you are broke and you don't have money, don't end up in the justice system because you're probably going to go to jail. It's going to mess up the rest of your life. Not because you are guilty, not because you were innocent, but because you don't have any money. Justice system in America is all about, do you have the money to defend yourself? And if you don't have money, you're in trouble. That's the way it works. So the justice system in America picks and chooses when it enforces rules and how much it enforces every rule and on whom is going to enforce rules. We all agree that this is true, regardless of your position on this particular situation. So people throwing out this due process thing can be easily dismissed because of this reality that we all disagree to. Because again, it's due process when it's somebody that you want to defend, but due process goes out the window when it's someone you want to see go to jail, i.e., when it was Donald Trump looking like he was going to jail, nobody was talking about due process. Nobody was saying statute of limitations. Nobody was saying they just made these up out of nowhere. No one was saying that they turned misdemeanors into felonies. Nobody was saying any of these things when it was Donald Trump on the line, at least the people on the political left. But now that Donald Trump is doing things to people, and it looks like he has a little bit more justification, and it's people who we don't even know who they are. These are alleged criminals from another country bringing narcotics into our country. All of a sudden, the people on the political left want to defend them based on due process. That just sounds ridiculous. That sounds ridiculous to me. Maybe y'all see it differently. So people who are paid to be on the political left, I am talking about the politicians, but then they're paid influencers, because these are people I see a lot of this stuff talking about. And mind you, the paid influencers, they get told what to say, in case any of y'all didn't know. These are coordinated messages. This is coordinated messaging that these folks send out. It's just some messages land better than others, so some of them go viral, some of them don't. These are coordinated messages. If you follow a bunch of these people, you'll notice that they're all talking about the same things on the same days in the same ways. They just say it in different ways. They're all paid to do this. This is coordinated. they're trying to control the messaging. The problem with the political left has, amongst many other problems, is that they tried this in 2024. Y'all remember? Didn't work, but they keep doing it. So hey, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. That's their business, their money, their business. They want to know how Kamala Harris spent $1 billion in 2024. Part of it was this, paying these influencers to say stuff. The other part of it was paying people to come to her rallies so she could brag about how many people came to her rallies. And then she didn't win any swing states in the election, even though she was super popular. Everybody was coming to her rallies. She had all these vibes and so many fans, but then she couldn't win a single swing state in the election. Does that even add up to any of you? That's where the $1 billion went. But I digress. These people, again, are picking and choosing when to stand on a moral high ground about due process. Because again, none of the people talking about due process, I doubt the Krasenstein brothers were talking about due process for Donald Trump or saying how you turned a misdemeanor into a felony to get his quote unquote 34 felonies last year. Nobody was talking about it then. I didn't see any of them talking about it. That's how you know it's nonsense. And again, doesn't mean that they're wrong for saying what they're saying now. Maybe, depending on how you look at it, you could justify what they're saying. You could justify that what Mr. Krasenstein said, that this is a war crime. There's a way of looking at it as literally that. There is a way of looking at it that way. The problem is the messenger, Mr. Krasenstein, and these paid Democratic influencers, they have already shown their hand by showing that they're so hard on this side that anything that makes this guy or allegedly is making this guy look bad, they're going to run with it. Now they don't have as much credibility when they bring up anything about him in a negative way because they've already shown that they're going to do that no matter what happens. They're going to find a negative angle. And that's why people don't trust what we hear in media anymore, because we can see that people are declaring sides. And that's the whole reason why it seems like the country is so divided, at least opinion wise, because we don't know who to trust. There's no trusted source anymore, at least as long as Donald Trump is the subject. When he's the subject, there's no trusted source. So there's a bunch of you listening to this right now who don't like Donald Trump, and you don't like anything that I'm saying because it sounds like I'm quote unquote defending him. I'm not actually defending him. All I'm defending is logic and objectivity. Objectively, what I just said, I explained it. You can't trust these people who are paid Democratic influencers because they're going to say anything that happens with Donald Trump, they're going to come up with the worst, most negative possible interpretation and angle of it, and they're going to put that out there and they're going to sensationalize it. Does anybody disagree with that? Does anybody disagree with that frame? Because that's what they do. And the problem is, because so many of them, their messages do get seen, and people hear that, well, you can easily dismiss it, even if they're right. That's the problem. Even if they're right, you can easily dismiss it because of the position that they painted themselves into, is that I'm just going to be negative no matter what. As long as the subject is Trump, I'm going to come up with something negative. So now we can dismiss them, and you could dismiss CNN, and you could dismiss MSNBC, and you could dismiss The View. You can dismiss all these folks. These are people we used to go to let them tell us, hey, here's a different way of looking at what just happened. We can't do that anymore. We lost it. Then you flip it to the other side. You have, I guess, Fox News. I guess they're going to defend Trump no matter what. Let's just say that that's Fox News. I don't even watch Fox News. I don't watch any news, but let's just say that that's Fox News. Now, who do we have that is actually objective, is going to lean one side or lean another side? Excuse me, not lean one side or another side. They're going to be objective. They'll give their opinion, but at the same time, they're being objective and they're actually giving you their points as they see them. Who are those people? And to be clear, as it was mentioned earlier here, just because that person has been established and you see them as objective does not mean you have to agree with every position that they come to a conclusion on. So someone mentioned Megyn Kelly earlier. I like Megyn Kelly. I listen to Megyn Kelly's show. At the same time, Megyn Kelly has said some things that I generally do not agree with, even though I think she is trying to be objective. For example, Mr. AT, the guy whose name I can't say on here, the kickboxer who got what did he do? Trafficked a bunch of people. That guy, him, who has a brother and they used to be kickboxers and they live in Europe. Those guys, Megyn Kelly has said some things about them that make absolutely no logical sense because she's speaking very much from emotion. And Megyn Kelly is a female, and Megyn Kelly, sometimes her extreme feminine side comes out, and some of the things that she said about them just made no logical sense. Some things she said about Candace Owens and the stuff Candace Owens is doing with the president of France didn't make any logical sense. So even though I like Megyn Kelly, does not mean everything that she says is unapproachable, because she's a human and she can have, I'm not even saying that she's wrong, because it's not about being wrong. It's about opinion versus opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and we have to get our materials from enough sources that we can come to a conclusion based on our own critical thinking, not based on what somebody else said. I don't care who the person is, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, Obama, Megyn Kelly, The View, or anybody else. The challenge that many people have these days is they come to an emotional conclusion on a subject, and then they go find anything that corresponds with that emotional conclusion, and they just run with that. And they don't want to hear anything that comes from any other direction. That's the reason why critical thinking is at an all-time low these days. That has always been the case, but it's been exacerbated by the existence of Donald Trump because people are so emotionally engaged with anything that comes out of the idea of him, whether he did it, he said it, he thought it, or somebody said it about him. So critics are saying that killing the people on board that vessel, what they instead should have done was intercept the boat and arrest those people instead of this reckless use of violence that bypasses due process. What I say is that, as I already mentioned, this was a deterrent. The whole point of it was a deterrent. You see, here's the thing. Let's say those guys get arrested, right? Let's say Trump arrests these guys. And when I say Trump, I mean the administration. Because Trump probably wasn't sitting there, looking at the board and telling them what to do. Right? They already got their own process. But let's say they arrest these guys, right? Take them to jail in America. And now they're going to put them in jail in America. They're going to send them back to another country. Well, the other country says we won't take these people. What if Venezuela says, no, we don't want them? All right, these people are gang members. They're traffickers. We don't want them. Y'all keep them. We're not taking them back. Y'all send them here. We won't let the plane land. What if they said something like that? Now they're in America. Now what does America try to do? Well, Tom Homan and Kristi Noem, they're going to try to deport these guys to other countries. Well, what's going to happen? Well, y'all saw what happened with the Maryland man. Oh, I don't want to be deported to that country because I fear for my safety. Oh, you can't send me there. I fear for my safety. Can't send me there. I fear for my safety. Can't send me there. I fear for my safety. Now we got 11 gang members who traffic narcotics in jail in the United States, taking up space in our prisons with our tax dollars. And we can't deport them and get them out of our country because the country they came from won't accept them back. And everywhere we try to send them because of due process, now we can't send them anywhere because their lawyers are saying, well, they fear for their lives. Can't send them anywhere. So every country in the world we try to send them, they say they fear for their safety, even though they never even been to these places, couldn't even find them on the map. Now they're stuck here and they become our problem. Eventually, let's say Donald Trump, his administration ends and Gavin Newsom becomes president in 2028. Those guys are still in jail. Guess what Gavin Newsom's going to do? Let them out of jail. Now they're citizens in America. Now something happens like what happened to that Ukrainian woman on the train. Where'd that happen? Y'all saw that story of the guy. Was that in North Carolina? What state was that in? The thing with the guy on the train and the Ukrainian girl, and he gets up behind her and stabs her. Where was that at? What state was that in? Was that in North Carolina? Yeah. So now, and mind you, that was a black guy, by the way. That was a black American guy. But now you got these criminals from another country who might not even speak English. They end up getting let out of prison. They're running around the United States of America, and now they go do some crime in the United States. See, that's the end game of how something like this could happen if we were to take them in and put them in jail. I'm not saying that would absolutely happen. I'm saying that's an example of what could happen. Because again, look at the Maryland man. He can't get deported because every country we try to deport him to, he's like, well, I fear for my safety. Like, dude, you don't even know where that country is. How do you fear for your safety? But going through a lawyer and quote unquote due process, they can do that. And this is how people are using this due process thing to slow down anything that the Trump administration is trying to do under the guise of we're just doing the right thing. That's nonsense. That's bullshit. They're not trying to do the right thing. What they're trying to do is take anything that Trump is doing and gum it up and slow it down and make it look like it's not effective by using these terms that sound like they're the right thing when that's not actually what they're trying to, that's not the point that they're trying to get across. That's the game. Oh, so they could have intercepted the boat and arrested these guys. Yeah, okay. Then what? Now they're going to be in jail in the United States and we got to pay for them to be in jail. And eventually they're going to get out of jail, right? Isn't that what happens? You go to jail for a narcotics crime. You're not going to be in there for the rest of your life. Eventually you get out of jail. Then what you going to do? Be a citizen running around the United States. You want them in your neighborhood? Any of you want any of these guys in your neighborhood? Any of you who thinks what Trump did was a war crime, do you want these guys to go to jail for 5 years, then get released out of jail and be running around and wherever you're living 5 years from now? Put yes in the comments if you do. Put no in the comments if you don't. And if you put yes, put where you live. So we can make sure we get the message over to the Trump administration. They should let them out where you live because they ain't got nowhere to go. They don't have a job. They don't have any training. They don't have any knowledge of anything. They might not even speak English. Okay, so they go to jail. Say they get 5 years. All right, they're out. Now let's send them to where you live. Where you want to send them? So it sounds good, right? Due process sounds great until you really think about, okay, due process. Now what happens? What happens after that? Y'all understand this? So the reason why they call this strike a deterrent is for a reason. See, arresting people is a deterrent too. The strike is a deterrent because is letting anyone else who decides to get on a boat and come across that water over here with the same intention that those guys allegedly had, that no, we're not going to take you to jail, because if we take you to jail, you're going to be here, be in jail. You get 3 hot meals a day. You got a safe place to stay, at least, or ostensibly. Then you're going to get out of jail, and we're going to release you in America. That's actually might be a good deal. I'll pay 5 years of my life to come live in America because I couldn't get here through proper paperwork. Donald Trump to close down the border. I couldn't get here through the proper way, so let me just get arrested, go to jail. Now I get out in America. Now here I am. And by then, Trump might not be president anymore. Oh, I'm good. I can be granted legal status by Kamala Harris, or whoever the president is in 2028, if it happens to be a Democrat. Zoran Mamdani. All right, let's say he becomes president. All right, what do you think he's going to do with these guys? You understand? And see, the deterrent is letting everybody know, if you think about doing the same thing, no, we're not going to arrest you. No, we're going to take your life. You won't be able to tell the story of what happened. So the next boat that was thinking about coming across those waters, do you think they thought twice about it after what happened last week? I think so. That's what a deterrent is. Do something that is bad enough, let's just say, so that the next person who thinks about doing that same thing thinks twice about doing it, and maybe decides maybe we should do this a different way, because what happened to the last person, I don't know if I want to deal with that. Let's do something else. Let's find a different way to do this. That's the very point. So the Trump administration said this was a deterrent. Well, I think it was successful because they got everybody talking about it. I guarantee you people in Venezuela heard about it. I guarantee you they know about it. So it worked as a deterrent. Now, you might think it's a war crime, but they said it's a deterrent. They didn't call it a war crime. The Trump administration, they called it a deterrent. Did they deter some people from trying this again? I think so. Now, the administration's justification, it leverages the commander-in-chief powers that any cartels that get labeled terrorist organizations, so the guys on this boat allegedly were from this terrorist organization. That's why they were able to do this. So that's why they could use the military. And they call this national defense. So this was not narcotics crime. This was national defense. That's the label under which they did what they did. So when you call the cartel a terrorist organization, now you can do things legally that you couldn't do if you were just saying, well, these guys are bringing some illicit street pharmaceuticals into our country. You couldn't do this if that was the case. That's why the labels matter so much. And there's a reason why, again, the Maryland man is going to get, eventually he's going to get deported somewhere that we can't pronounce and most of us couldn't point out on the map. Now, legal scholars and international experts, whatever that means, they counter that the strike likely violated U.S. and international laws. Well, how do you likely violate a law? It depends on what law they're talking about and how they're interpreting the law. Pointing out that force is only lawful in cases of imminent attack, which wasn't established here. Okay. Now, that's the part of the law that they're going off of. That would be right. They say force is only lawful in cases of imminent attack. That's generally how the law works when it comes to use of force, even if it's a person against a person at the mall. That if you're not imminently being attacked, you use a force, you're in the wrong. That's what they're saying America did. Now, while that can be right, the problem is it depends on which part of the law you're interpreting. This is the reason why we have court systems. This is the reason why lawyers go to court and argue and file motions, because there's all these details of the law, and it depends on which way you want to interpret a law and which law you want to look at and how the judge wants to receive your arguments that determine who's right and who's wrong. Two lawyers can be arguing. They can both be technically right, but it depends on which interpretation the judge decides to accept that determines who ends up getting their way and who ends up losing. Same thing with a jury trial. How well can you convince the jury to take your interpretation of the law versus your counterpart's interpretation of the law, even though neither one of them is lying? They're both interpreting the law accurately. It's just, is it this side or this side of the law we're going to look at? We're going to look at it from this angle or from this angle. That's the whole battle of being a lawyer in general, if we're talking trial type situations. So they're saying you can't use force unless imminent attack. Well, Donald Trump said this is a terrorist organization. So anytime they do anything, it's an imminent attack. So again, it's just the interpretation that they're arguing. It's not the letter that they're arguing. The problem is most everyday people, civilians, they hear this, that you can't use force unless you're being imminently attacked. That means it's a war crime. Well, that sounds logical. Sounds like it makes sense, right? If you just listen to that on the surface and you didn't hear what I just said 45 seconds ago, it sounds like what they're saying is absolutely right. That you're using force and there is no imminent attack. Who knows if these guys even have weapons? But they're leaving out the other part of it. They're leaving the context out. So y'all heard me say every day on here, facts don't matter. And I'll tell you that facts don't matter nearly as much as they used to. And its influence and What's the persuasion that matters more than facts? This is why. Because to persuade people, you have to show them certain facts and you leave out other facts. What's exactly what these legal experts are doing, that there was no imminent attack, so you can't use force. Well, yes, you can. Who you using force against? And what other reason do you have besides imminent attack? Are there other reasons besides imminent attack to use force? Yes, there are. So when 9/11 happened and the troops, our U.S. troops went and found the guy responsible for it, was he about to attack them when they took his life? No. They had another reason, and it was a good enough reason. Y'all understand? So a good enough reason, just it depends on what facts we're looking at, not just a fact. And facts can easily be taken out of context to persuade, influence, and lead people astray. There's a whole book called How to Lie with Statistics that explains this when it comes to numbers and it comes to data points and charts and graphs and all that stuff. So they're saying that this sets a dangerous precedent for extrajudicial killings in international waters. And I say, yes, it does. Exactly. If you agree with what the Trump administration said, which is this is the deterrent for anybody else doing this, then that's actually a good idea. If you don't agree, then you would say it's a bad idea. But either way, you could be right, depending on which interpretation of the law you're looking at. So with the growing military presence in the Caribbean and subsequent warnings from Trump about shooting down any Venezuelan aircraft or anything coming from there that he thinks, and when I say he, I mean the Trump administration thinks might be doing anything when it comes to narcotics and that gang, this is basically a strategic posture against Venezuela's government. And the show of force extends beyond the cartel. It's a geopolitical pressure tactic. Is that what this is? Yes, it is. Some are saying that this might be a war crime. Okay, well, who's going to take the United States to jail? Who's taking Trump to jail? The IOC? Is that who it is? The Internet? No, that's the Olympic Committee. Whatever the organization that prosecutes war crimes. Are they going to take Donald Trump to jail? They're going to make him stand trial? I highly doubt it. I doubt that that's going to happen. So what this is again, it's a geopolitical pressure tactic by the United States against Venezuela, and it's a symbol to every other country. Hey, if you do things that we tell you you're not supposed to be doing, here's what's going to happen to you. Here's what happened to them. We'll do the same thing to you. That's the point. All right. That's the reason that they're doing it, to send a message to everybody else. It is a pressure tactic, and I believe this one worked. I don't know if it worked against the government of Venezuela. I don't know what they've said, if anything, about the situation. But I do believe, wow, what do you have? I do believe that they deterred the next group of traffickers from putting a boat into those waters and even looking like they're thinking about coming towards the United States of America. I think it deterred the next people because
Can we do down question?
nope, not yet. Is one thing to again get arrested and go to jail. Is a whole other thing to lose your life. Right? There's two vastly different things. Now, this escalation risk. Close the door, son. This escalation risk triggering military conflict and undermines regional stability. Well, what regional stability? What regional stability are they talking about? I think the United States is pretty stable. I think the United States is in a pretty good shape. Now, I don't know what's happening in Venezuela. Any of you know what's happening over there? I don't know. But our regional stability looks pretty good. Now, Venezuela viewed the action as a threat of regime change, and some neighboring leaders condemned it under international norms. And if I'm Donald Trump and the United States or United States of America, our military or the Trump administration, and some neighboring leaders condemned it under international norms. All right, let's open up our trusty map here and let's see what Venezuela. Right, let's see who could have a problem with this. All right, so I'm looking at Venezuela on the map. Okay, so that blue dot is South Florida. There's Venezuela right there at the northern part of South America. So you got Guyana's over there. You got French Guyana. You got Suriname. You got Colombia. You got Panama, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic. Who's this? You got Brazil in there, Ecuador, Peru, and said some neighbors. They said that they condemned it under international norms. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm saying, okay, so, all right, let's just say y'all think that that's not normal based on what normally happens when this type of conflict happens. I say, okay, I ain't the normal president. And guess what? I'm on my last term. So what the hell y'all going to do? All y'all can get together. Y'all can get together, team up if you want to. What are y'all going to do? If I'm Donald Trump, that's what I'm saying. Donald Trump was elected president. And the president of the United States has more power than all these countries down here put together. All of Central America, all of South America put together. Shout out to my Central Americans, South Americans who are listening to this right now. But again, don't be mad at the messenger. This is just the truth. Donald Trump does not need to bend to what all these countries put together think, because he is making a decision based on what protects America. He called them a terrorist organization for what they're doing. He wants to stop narcotics from coming into the country, and boom, he did it. Literally, boom, he did it. So what are these countries going to do even together to stop him? The answer is absolutely nothing. Now, y'all saw 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump had all these powers in Europe all come there at the same time. So he had he had Germany, Finland, I think Sweden, Ukraine. Who was the other guy who was there? There was several other countries. All came. There was like 7 or 8 of them. All came at the same time, all to basically try to team up and create some collective power to say, hey, President Trump, can you help us with the problem with this guy, Mr. Putin over there? And one of Trump, 8 of them. So what the hell are these countries in South America going to do? I mean, let's just talk about this logically. Let's just talk about this rationally. Not much.
Are you okay?
I'm excellent.
Are you doing zombie robots now?
No, I'm still recording. You see, I'm still talking, right?
But I want to do zombie robots now.
And I want to keep recording now, so I win. So you got to wait. You want to wait? You want to sit up here and wait, or you want to go out there, or you want to stand right there?
Do zombie robots.
No, you picked an option I didn't give you. See, my son is pretty smart. I gave him 3 options, and he picked option 4. But no, we can't. Not yet. So for domestic audiences, frustrated by the violence that is driven by the narcos, this strike is a bold gesture of action, and it symbolizes a refusal to tolerate transnational threats. And I think that one, I don't even really need to add too much to it, because that's exactly what Donald Trump has stood on. One thing we can say about Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, is that the stuff that he said he was going to do, pretty much he's doing it. He said he was going to close the border. All right. What do we have happening right now at the border? Not much. It's pretty quiet down there at the border. Not much happening. How many people we have coming in here undocumented and not getting caught? Not many. And the undocumented who are already here are all shaking in their boots because they're worried about getting caught, because they know if they get caught, they got to go. All right, so Donald Trump's doing the stuff he said he was going to do. He said he was going to do something about the narcotics coming into the country. He's doing something about it. And he just did something that's going to stop a bunch of people from even trying. So anyone who doesn't like the fact that these narcotics get brought into the country, and there are lots of people on this, their stories don't get broadcast as much, because the whole thing about the narcotics situation happening in America, and when I say the situation, there's a lot of pieces to the situation. Let me be specific. I'm saying people in America who have had loved ones pass away from overdoses of narcotics, it's not often narcotics that came from America, because America is not a place where these things, the narcotics, are naturally either manufactured nor do they naturally grow. They're either manufactured or they grow from to the east of us or to the south of us. Everybody agrees to that. They come from the east or to the south, countries to the east or to the south. And the people who pass away from these things, their loved ones are here in America, and they're pissed about the narcotics coming into the country, and they're pissed about the fact that America seems to not be doing much to stop it. And these narcotics are often getting through either through shipments in the mail, or they're coming through the border. So when all those people were coming through the border between 2021 and 2023, there was a lot of Americans who were pissed off about it, not because they're xenophobic and have a problem with brown people or black people. And some of these people who have a problem are brown and black people. It's not because they have a problem with brown and black people coming to the country, not because they're afraid of white people getting replaced in the world or in the country, which, by the way, whether there are immigrants coming into the country or not, the population growth in brown people is exceeding the population growth of white people. We know that to be true, but it's not because of any of those things. Some of these people just don't like the fact that people are coming into this country unchecked, and they can come into this country unchecked. They are committing crimes unchecked. They are bringing things into this country that you should not be allowed to bring into this country. And some of those things lead to the deaths of citizens who belong here and didn't do anything wrong, other than somehow somebody ended up taking some narcotic they shouldn't have taken. They end up losing their lives. That's part of the argument as well. Donald Trump said this in 2015. Yes, they're sending immigrants, but they're not sending their best. They're sending people who are coming in here and doing things they're not supposed to be doing, like what happened in Carolina this past weekend, like assaults, like Lincoln Riley, assaults, like the narcotics, And Donald Trump is making a show of we're not going to allow this to keep happening. And all of you need to understand that sometimes in life, you can't just keep giving people the rational, logical argument. Sometimes you got to give them something visceral that everybody sees and everybody notices so that everybody gets the message. You can give a person a message in a rational, logical way 100 times. They don't get it until you get them a visceral experience of the message. And then they get it. One exposure. Point being, Donald Trump's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He's doing it the way he wanted to do it. So this projects strength and urgency in combating the chaos. And again, whether you like it or not, we all can agree we know about it. We know about it, even if you don't like it. So turning to military force, critics say, without transparent evidence, may erode public trust in institutions and raise concerns about abuses of power in the name of safety. To that, I would laugh. But do I even have a laugh? I need a laugh meme. Here, I don't have a laugh meme, but let me do that one.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay. Oh, I like your funny words. Oh, I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Reason I give that one a laugh is, again, let me tell you again what's being said by critics, is that if you turn to military force without evidence, it can erode trust in institutions and raise concerns about abuses of power in the name of safety. I say, what? Y'all remember 2020? Were there any abuses of power in the name of safety in 2020? Y'all remember? In 2021 and 2022? There were plenty of those. So this can erode trust because we already experienced it. We already know exactly what that looks, smells, and sounds like. We already experienced that already. We've seen that already. So this is not even a point. They say without clear data, the line between prevention and provocation blurs. Well, we're not provocating anybody because what are they going to do? What's Venezuela going to do? Venezuela going to come and attack the United States because we took out some of their narcotics traffickers? Do they really care? I want to know if the Venezuelan government is even upset that this happened. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they would be if they agree who these guys were. Now, maybe they disagree who these guys were. Maybe they're just some refugees trying to get some bread. So they want to come take a risk and come to America. I don't think so. But maybe y'all know something I don't know. All that said, folks, let's get into the comments. This will be interesting. By the way, my weekly motivation text is coming out in about 40 minutes. You want to get in my texting community, make sure you text me at my number, 305-384-6894. Someone, moderators, put that in the comments and pin it, please, so that we have that in there so everybody can see it. You want to get in my text community and get my weekly motivation text. Again, it comes out every Monday at 10 a.m. It is 9:22 a.m. right now, Eastern time. Just text me so you can be in there. So let's see what we got in the comments. B. Miller, good morning. He has said, I've been to so many baseball games. I've never seen anything like this before. Well, it probably happens all the time. Just people wasn't always filming baseball games, too. People always get it on tape. D. Moth, the Great, said, Dre all day, Jose Park, baby. Been with you since 2010. That's what's up. Shout out to you, D. Moth, the Great. B. Miller said, my initial thought was, is this staged? No, that was not staged. There's no way this is real, by the way. Dad photo like a lawn chair. No, that seems like just his normal behavior. That's his normal energy. Soul Art says some people need to be made an example of. Well, that's the reason that they did it. Exactly. Soul Art said they took his GoFundMe account down. They put up a GoFundMe for the dude who did the stabbing in North Carolina. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's see. Thank you, Courtney, for pinning the comment. All right, so let's see what we got here in the comments section. Well, Heck said baseball, Karen and Dad both could have and should have behaved better. Okay, that's a fine both sides argument. There are good people on both sides. I get it. Go ahead. Marky Man said, was it true Camping World gave the dad an RV? I didn't hear that. I Am McGregor said, Dad, like you said, first come, first serve, he won. Yes, on the basic black and white, first come, first serve, he won. If I was that dad and I picked up the ball and I see I just beat out Grandma for the ball, I'm going to give Grandma the ball. I got more chances to get another baseball than Grandma has to get a baseball. And again, superseding even that, Ian McGregor, is that my son is the one with a damn glove. Why the hell am I over here grabbing a baseball? Why am I over here grabbing a baseball? You got a glove. I wouldn't even been over there in the first place. That's the problem I got with the dad. Why are you doing that? Your son got a glove. You get your ass over there and get the ball. You 12 years old. You got plenty of energy. All right, I'll be working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You sitting in school doing nothing. Go get that damn baseball if you want it. Shit, what you bring the glove to the game for? You gonna stand there and watch me go get the ball? That's the problem I got with the dad. More than actually, no. The biggest problem is that he just looked weak in the whole situation. But in smaller than that in a more tongue-in-cheek way, but still serious, is why is he chasing after baseballs while your son's standing there doing nothing? That's what I want to know. Murphy the Mutt says she needs to get quicker. Murphy, I don't think that's happening. I don't think grandma's getting any quicker. I don't think baseball Karen's getting any quicker than she already is. Actually, she is pretty quick. You saw how quick she walked over to him and got that baseball bat. And she wasn't joking either. She was going to get that ball. Carver said she could chase him down. She could have gotten to the ball faster. That's true, but she was leaning over. You know how it is at a stadium. She's in the seat up here. She's trying to reach the ball that's below her. So you got to like reach below where your feet are because the ball is a level lower and get to the ball. And the dad, he was on a level plane. So he was on a more horizontal plane to go get the ball. So I like that we can break down the physics of this. Ulrich says, this former NBA player, Alfonso Ellis. No, he's older than me. And I look a lot better than him, Ulrich. So I don't know if you're joking or not, but no. I look a lot better than him, and I'm probably 10 years younger than him. Jack Maris said, Google is free. He was convicted. Who are you talking about? Who was convicted? Devopsis Meta said, the moment a group is labeled terrorist, the threshold of force is lowered. Yes, exactly. That's what I said. Woody said, law is largely driven by narrative and collective opinion. I don't know about collective opinion. Narrative, I don't know about that either. Now, the way people look at the law, Woody, I would say is driven by narrative and collective opinion. But the law itself is on the books. It's black and white. The interpretation of the law is up to the lawyers to make their arguments and the judge to make a decision. Mime 97 said, depending on the narrative, politics, or person. Chico said, now is due process. Before it was no one's above the law. That's correct. Interesting how quickly that switched, depending on who the subject is. Domo said, man speaking unfiltered, logical facts and truth. Well, thank you. Irma V, shout out to you for the gift. Thank you for the rose and the goats. Sam said, Donald Trump got due process. No one had to tell anyone not to violate Trump's rights. Well, again, that sounds good. That sounds good if you just look at it just on that statement alone. What you said there, Sam, is you're not wrong. You didn't say anything that is factually wrong in that statement. At the same time, you're leaving out a whole bunch of other facts. And that's why facts don't matter. And that's why you can lie with facts. So what you just did was lying with facts. Again, doesn't mean you're wrong. You're just lying with facts. And I already explained that. Indy Valley Girl said, in the 80s, Mellencamp threw me his pick. My friends DTR asked for. I really wanted that, gave it up. But that's great. Ulrich said, this is a conversation we should have been had before the election in November 2024. Well, we did, Ulrich. You just weren't around. We had this conversation. Domo said, Diddy versus Hugh Hefner. I get what you're saying. That might be a little bit different. No, Hugh Hefner, was he accused? And if so, did he go to court? And Diddy, the thing he got caught with, the smoking gun for Diddy was not even the thing he went to trial for. The smoking gun was beating up his girlfriend in the elevator. Now, see, there's no video of Hugh Hefner beating up his girlfriend in the elevator. That was the problem for Diddy, even though that's not even why he went to trial. But that was enough for them to say, all right, let's go get him now because now he looks bad. That was the whole thing with Diddy. So sometimes it's something that's not even the main thing that you end up getting. It's like, what did Al Capone go to jail for? Not for taking anybody's life. They got him on what was it, tax evasion? Is that the real thing they were after him for? No. But if they want to get you, they'll get you. And Diddy, he gave him something to get him with. And that was that beating up his girlfriend in front of the elevator. Katrina said bogus charges. Yeah, they were bogus charges. Everybody knows they were bogus charges. Even the people who don't like them know they were bogus charges. Mustang said, because Trump lies about everything. Every day somebody says this.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Vicky said, nope, don't disagree at all. Well, thank you. PK Arnold said, because Democrats are scared. Well, they don't really have anything to be scared of. He already won the election. I mean, I agree with you, actually, but why are they scared? I mean, it's already over now. Ulrich said, August job reports, 12,000 jobs, 4.6 unemployment, high inflation. All right, why are you telling us that? Eska, yeah, I can't say that guy's name on here. His name is, if you say it, then you get a warning on here. I've already been warned. Indy Valley Girl said, news isn't news anymore, it's opinions. Yeah, as well as all opinions. I mean, there was opinions back in the days, but they would also tell you objective stuff too. Katrina said, news is bought by Soros. Sam said, you don't get to commit war crimes, just send a message, have some integrity. Sam, you keep using this word integrity as if, what does that mean when you say that word integrity?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
And yes, you do get to, because the reason why, first of all, let's back up here. So this is a false frame. The false frame is you're making an argument about whether you can commit war crimes or not. Well, let's back up because we haven't agreed that this is a war crime. First of all, we had to agree whether it's a war crime or not. I say that it is not a war crime. And secondly, we already voted for Donald Trump into the presidency. He is the commander in chief. He's in charge. So if he decides that this group is a terrorist group, and when a terrorist group is labeled a terrorist group, that's really what you should be arguing about, Sam, if you want to argue about something, is whether that group should be labeled terrorist or not. Because if they are not terrorists, then what he did was a war crime. But if they are terrorists, then what he did is not a war crime. So you're arguing about whether it's a war crime or not, but you're actually arguing about the wrong thing. So Woody then asked Sam, define a war crime. And Sam responded by saying, you can look them up. They're not a secret. Sam, you got to get a...
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Now, if you keep using a term and then somebody asks you to define what the term means and then you say, go look it up. Well, what you're doing there is this is escapism. So you keep using this term and then somebody said, okay, what does that even mean? And you won't talk about it. Well, that means it looks like, let me back up. It looks like you're throwing around a term that you can't even define, but it feels good emotionally for you to say it, but you can't even stand on it. Then you get the non sequitur of the day. There's actually another.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
There's another fallacy for that. And it's escaping me what exactly it is, but we're going to find out in a second. One second. Let me see if I can find out. Sometimes there's so many different fallacies that sometimes I forget what they're all called, but we're going to find out what the name of this fallacy is. Yes, the burden of proof fallacy. Burden of proof fallacy is when someone makes a claim, then somebody asks you what exactly they mean by that claim, and then you tell them to go figure it out when you're the one who made the claim in the first place. So, Sam, that's the burden of proof fallacy that you just used, and is also a bit of appeal to ignorance by proxy. Because what you're saying is, well, go look it up, as if that person needs to go get the information, but you're the one who presented the information. So you're the ones who should be bringing the information. And it's also dismissive rhetoric. Like, oh, well, you don't know what it means. Then you obviously can't talk about it. So Sam, you're getting the, what do we want to call you? We got to give a name. Then we got to come up with a new award, folks. We need an award for the person who is committing the most logical fallacies of everybody. Every day, there seems to be one person who kind of steers the ship of logical fallacies. Today, it is Sam. Now, this is a different Sam. There's somebody else named Sam who will come in here. It's not the same Sam. At least I don't think it's the same Sam. So we'll just clap for you right now because you are running away with it right now. Yeah, I thought that was in Charlotte, that thing with the stabbing. Katrina said Trump has the military advising him. Yes, of course. Katrina said you're exactly right on this. Thank you. Yo, thank you for the share. Valerie Baker, yeah, I see you. Elle said, as a black man, this doesn't start properly. This statement doesn't start properly with Elle saying, wait, so, we all know what that means when someone starts a statement with so. As a black man, so this whole thing, the first the first 6 words of this statement by Elle are sounding very dubious. I haven't even read the whole comment yet. First of all, nothing that I've said here today has anything to do with race. We're talking about Donald Trump and narcotics and people coming into international waters allegedly bringing narcotics to the United States. What does that have to do with race? Answer is nothing, but this is what Elle says. So as a black man, let's see the rest of it. You're not fearful of what will come of our people in America. Okay, so we got several things here.
Strawberry cheesecake.
First of all, this is a straw man. You get the straw man of the day. You're the first one to get that award today because you are framing this question based on a response to allegedly what I said when nothing I said here today was about race. So you shifting the topic to it being about a referendum on my race is a straw man. That's number one. Then you ask, you're not fearful. This is an appeal to emotion because you're asking about fear, which is an emotion, which has, again, not much to do with what we're talking about here today.
Emotional, damn it.
And then you say, what will come of our people in America? As if something's about to happen to our people in America, which I have no idea what you're referring to. That is a non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And being that you got 3 all together, you get the triple double, first triple double award of the day, which is.
Oh, baby, a triple! Oh, yeah!
So congratulations, L, on you got the first straw man of the day. You got an appeal to emotion, not the first one. Non sequitur, not the first one, but the first triple double. So you got the Russell Westbrook Award, L, for the triple double logical fallacy of the day. Niche says, good riddance to those narco terrorists. You spell good riddance wrong, but I get what you're saying. Woody, thank you for the follow. Red Man said, that already happens anyway. No convict is going to a rich neighborhood. Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do, depending on what neighborhood it is, how easy it is to get there, and how easy it is to hang out. Ready or not, thank you for the follow. Gen X GG said, we as the USA did the right thing and sent a message that will not be tolerated. Fair enough. User said, damn, this came across my type. Who is this insane person? No worries. Moving on. I don't know exactly what you're saying there. Across your type? What does that mean? Katrina said, Trump's tired of people dying. Well, hope so. Ulrich, thanks for the follow. Angelo Montez said, that's one boat compared to the thousands of other ways they bring narcotics in. Yeah, I agree. Oh, you're FYP. Eska said he's running for mayor, not president. I know it was a tongue-in-cheek comment. I know what he's running for. Red Man said, this is for Congress to fix, not the president. What are you referring to? Woody said, I mean, warships weren't shooting 50 mm shells. What does that mean? Michelle's baby, thanks for the follow. Shorty said, take the life of wealthy white Americans then in this country that is largely involved. Take the life of the wealthy white Americans then in this country that is largely involved. Well, who? Give some names. And how are they responsible? Marky Man said, how about the 100K who died last year from overdose and poisoning? That's a lot of people. Ulrich, you're talking about things that have nothing to do with the subject. We're not addressing those. Woody said, likely from my perspective, that's equally arguable on the counterpart. From which point? Katrina said, Trump didn't make decisions on his own. He has advisors. Yeah, so when I think I said 3 times in here, when I say Trump, what I mean is the administration. I know he's not sitting there like telling everybody what to do. They already are empowered to do what they do. Trump just gets to announce it and take credit. That's the way it works. And Trump does make decisions on his own. There's no such thing as making a decision with a group, Katrina. I get what you're directionally saying here, but there's no such thing as a group decision. Trump makes a decision. Advisor does not mean you're a part of the decision-making process. It means you advise. But the decisions are made by individual people always. Donald Trump's the kind of guy, and any individual actually makes their own decisions. Donald Trump's not the kind of guy who needs the group to help him make a decision. He doesn't come off as that type. Karina said, then if a real attack happened, they would blame him for not taking proper preventative measures. Yes, exactly. I mean, this is the penalty of being in leadership is no matter what you do, there are people who are going to attack every action that you take or every inaction that you don't take. That's the way it works. Sam said, you're leaving the context out. You keep saying deterrence and ignoring everything else. What did I leave out? I gave you points from both sides of the argument. Mine 97 said, How to Lie with Statistics. That's the name of the book. Yes. It's a classic. This book has been around for a long time. It's not a very long book. It just shows you different ways that people lie with data. And yes, that's the name of the book. It's called How to Lie with Statistics. Let me show you a picture of it because I have it. I know I have it saved on my phone because I show this image to people so often because people do it so much. It looks like this. They probably have different looking covers, but you can find this book on Amazon or iBooks very easily. How to Lie with Statistics. And yes, this is a real book. It's been around for a long time. It's a classic. Amag Berry, thank you for the follow. Sam said, so you're saying, Sam started a comment with, so you're saying, y'all know how this goes. Y'all know what happens after so you're saying. If one is going home, you accountable, you can do whatever you want. Wait, I think there's some grammatical errors in here, but let's see if we can figure out what Sam is trying to say. So you're saying if I1 is going to hold you accountable, you can, you're saying if no one, I think this is no one. So you're saying if no one's going to hold you accountable, you can do whatever you want with a question mark. So the strongman logical fallacy, which Sam just got the award.
Strawberry cheesecake.
For those of you not familiar with it, if you look around, you'll start noticing it all the time. Straw man logical fallacy is someone takes something that you said or that they're claiming that you said, they reframe it into something that you did not say, then they represent it to you in the form of a question or something that they ridicule or something that they just say as a statement or some form of incredulity that they're incredulous that you would even say that they claim that you said it. Then they throw it back at you. And this is what Sam just did. So you're saying. One tell for the straw man is somebody says, so you're saying, or so you think, or so you believe, or to just say you're saying, or you think you believe, because they're basically trying to talk to you as if they're regurgitating your point when they're actually not. What they do is they make a weaker version of your argument, and then they throw that at you as if to make your argument look crazy, and then they ask you to respond to it. So the key to dealing with the straw man is that you must point out that it's a straw man. Point out to them that that's not what I said. You rephrase what I said to make it sound dumb, and then you're asking me to defend it or answer to it or verify it. That's a straw man. And again, when you notice people disagreeing with something, you'll notice people use a straw man over and over and over again. And Sam already, who is running away with the trophies right now, Sam is like Bill Russell today, getting all the awards. Another straw man by Sam. So congratulations, Sam. You even got me to break down the straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Oh, Rick said half of Miami is built on. Yeah, I've seen what was the name of that movie? The Cowboys. Yeah, I saw that. Sam said based on international law. Well, again, who's going to uphold the law and what are they going to do? Who's going to uphold the law and what are they going to do? That's the question. So people talk about international law. Like, who's the governing body of international law? Who's going to call the United States and say, hey, you broke the law and you got to come to court and we're going to take you to jail? Who is going to do that? Give me the name of the person who's going to do that. The person does not exist. So yes, you can scream international law all you want. It doesn't matter. Does it really? Does it really matter? No. We know who's the most powerful country in the world. We know who it is because that conflict going on between those two countries in Europe, notice that both of them came over here to try to get it settled. All right, so we know who's in charge. So who's going to hold us accountable? Answer is nobody. That's what it is. And I don't think there's anything to be held accountable for. But even if you think there is, who's going to do it? Who's in charge? What he said, maritime is more so than international. Yes, that's right. What he says, not on the main line. Lots of agree. Yo, thanks for the follow. Stephanie said, also sweet. Thank you. Katrina said, promises made, promises kept. Generally, he is keeping them. Sam asked, how do you know how many people are coming and not getting caught if they're not getting caught? Well, there are plenty of estimates done by experts who look into these types of things. And that's how they estimate how many people are coming in. Same way that people coming across the border without proper documentation. Well, if there's no documentation, how do you know how many people came across the border? Well, again, people estimate this based on their data and their resources that they use to figure these things out. User said migrants add $97 billion to our tax base. Now, where'd you get that number from? And when you say migrants, are you talking people who come here legally or people who come here illegally? Which ones are you talking about? Or are you mixing them all into one group? Stephanie said, I don't think a president has ever kept their promise. Well, it depends on which promise we're talking about, Stephanie. I think Trump has kept some of his promises. Now, every politician has to throw some things out there that they're probably not even thinking about doing because it gets them elected. That's part of the game. But the biggest ones that he said he was going to do, Trump has pretty much stuck to them. Noah said, guns and narcotics still coming in. The border isn't more secure. I would say the border is more secure simply because they started enforcing the rules. So there are fewer people coming across the border. I think by definition, that makes it more secure because they're actually enforcing rules there. That's one side. And you said that guns and narcotics are still coming in. Okay, they can still come in. Depends on what the guns and narcotics are, because that doesn't necessarily mean that they're illegal. All right, so someone bringing in weapons and narcotics, because some weapons and narcotics are legal, Noah. So you're leaving out some information there. So it's an interesting little verbal sleight of hand that you just used there, saying what you said. User said, deport the criminals, not the engineers or grandmothers. And generally, I agree. Live Free said, Dre, seriously, America has its own terrorists. Who needs outside terrorists? Well, I understand. You can't solve every problem all at the same time. D-Max said, numbers were inflated by Trump and his crew. Okay, well, everybody can say that. I mean, so we could just throw that whole argument out if you want to do that. Paul Tucker, thanks for the follow. LA for real. Thanks for the follow. You just said get rid of the bad ones, then Trump's not doing that. I don't know about that. Bad ones who? You talking about the bad migrants, the bad immigrants? You don't have to be a bad person to get kicked out of a country if you don't have proper documentation. That's a false frame, what you're saying there. And it's also an appeal to emotion. If you're in the United States without proper documentation, you get kicked out. Doesn't matter if you could have been paying taxes every year for the last 50 years. If the United States finds out that you're here without proper documentation, you must leave. Why? Because that's the rule. I'm an absolutist when it comes to the rules. The rule is what the rule is. You might not like the rule, but if that's the rule and you know it's the rule and you violate it, then you broke the rule. Everybody agrees with that, right? You might not like that the speed limit is 55, but if you're driving 65 because you don't like the speed limit and you get pulled over for going 10 miles over the speed limit, do you deserve a citation? Yes, you do, because the speed limit says 55, you're going 65, period. You might not like that the speed limit is 55, but you saw the sign and you went over the speed limit. That's the rule. A rule that is not enforced is not a rule. It's a suggestion. So I'm an absolutist when it comes to that. If you state something as a rule, a law, or a parameter, you must enforce it. Otherwise, you don't have a rule. If you don't enforce your rules, you get chaos and disorder. As a scientific law, it is known as entropy. No rules, no parameters, no standards. You get chaos and disorder naturally. And there is no other side to that. It's a binary. Sam said, you don't get to ignore the law just to put on your show, though. Can't you admit to that? What law are you referring to? What law are you referring to? Can you state the actual law, who created this law, and who enforces the law? So you're stating that something's a law. Just because you call something a law does not mean it's actually a law. Does not mean it's a enforced law. It doesn't mean it's an enforceable law. So until we get that information, no, I cannot admit that. And you're offering me a false binary here. False binary is when you offer somebody a yes or no question based on a false premise. So it's a loaded question. It's a false binary. And it's what do we want to call it? We'll just call it a loaded question, false binary. I'll be nice.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
That sound is for the loaded question. Katrina said, go on ISIS page. You'll see a lot of them come in from Mexico. Well, yeah, because that's the land border that we have. It's only land. The only way to get in by land is either Canada or Mexico. Margot, thanks for the follow. Karina said, Dakara Thompson. Who is that? Who's that person? Nana Cat. Oh, no one talking to me. Yeah, Das Will. Thank you for the share. We got 15 minutes here, folks. We're already at 130 likes. Thank you, everybody. Woody said, maritime is a different ballgame, folks. Yes, so Woody has made the point that this happened in the ocean. That would be more maritime law than it is international law, because what nation's water is that it becomes maritime law. Live Free said, America has overthrown so many government, yet we call others terrorists. All right, fair enough. I understand. This is the game of politics, folks. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying this is the game. And my company is called Work on Your Game for a reason. Work on your game does not mean we can necessarily look at everything and say, well, they're not doing this, so they don't have a right to do that. That's not the way life works. It's not the way humanity works. Because if we want to call out every discrepancy, let's just say, and there's a different word I'm looking for. We want to call out every discrepancy or every place in which someone is being hypocritical, whether we're talking an entity of a country, whether we're talking a politician, we're talking an individual person, then the reality is nobody will be qualified to speak. None of us. None of us is talking in the comments, not me, not the president, not anybody. If anyone who has ever, they are talking about one thing, but there's some aspect of their life in which you could point out the opposite thing, nobody will be able to talk. Nobody will be qualified. So the game of life is understanding that this is part of human nature, is that no human is perfect, and that there are going to be these discrepancies and these hypocritical points that are not in conflict, these incongruencies between the way people see, the way people talk about things, and the way they may actually do things. And again, this goes down to the individual person. It also applies to countries. And the game is about understanding this and then figuring out how do you navigate it anyway. There's an author by the name of Niccolo Machiavelli. He wrote a book called The Prince, and he's written several other things. He talks about this. This is one of the key understandings of dark psychology. And dark psychology is about understanding the natural idiosyncrasies and incongruencies between how people present themselves and how they may actually be. And this applies to people, groups, cities, governments, politicians, etc. And it's not about us railing against the fact that there are inconsistencies. It's about us understanding that there are inconsistencies and learning how to operate within them. Why? Because we all have them ourselves too. Most people are not humble enough to look at themselves and realize that they are just as guilty as the people that they're pointing things out about, but we all have them. And it's about understanding how do we navigate anyway. That's what the game is about, is knowing the game that you're in. Marky Man said they're trying to say it was 11 refugees. Yeah, I heard somebody trying to say that. Andrea said it was his sons. His sons, who are you talking about? Who's he? Dana Pecom said exactly like everybody gets a trophy type dad. Yeah, he might be that type. Oh, it was his son's birthday. Yes, I heard it was his son's birthday, Andrea. I see what you're saying. You said BD, his birthday. Yeah, and I say, what's that had to do with his son not going and getting the damn ball? His son got a glove. 12 years old. I'm 37. You 12. Go get the ball. Shit, what am I running around chasing balls for? Just Cam, thanks for the follow. Live Free said, people are worried that ball has no significance, just an $8 ball. Well, yeah, depending on what it is. I mean, maybe he likes the player. Who knows? I mean, there could be some sentimental value for that ball for that player because you went and got it and it landed in the stands. You go to a game, the ball never comes your way. I understand why he wants to get the ball. But at the same time, I tell my son, you brought your glove. If a ball comes up here, you better go and get it. I ain't chasing after a damn thing. I paid for these tickets. All right, you go get the ball. I did my job by paying for these tickets. Now, you go get the damn ball if you want it. Ray of Sunshine, thanks for the follow. Kendra said, have you followed or covered the Amy Bradley case at all? No, I have not. I don't even know about it. Rel said, no due process getting into USA, no due process getting put out. Well, that's how some people want to see it. Ryan said, I'm a DA. Tried to posture tough last week. Got a 2-day jury trial scheduled on 8 days' notice. Okay. Carl Ann Collins said the father is living in his memories. The son was not interested in getting the ball. I don't know. Maybe because the father was on the end, so the kid would have had to go around the dad to get there. Who knows? Who knows? I think the dad was a little bit more aggressive. Animal said, what's the PIN number? PIN number is for my text message line. You want to get my free weekly motivation text, my daily motivation text message. I send them out every day to people in my text community. It is free to join. Text me at that number, 305-384-6894. Daily motivation is 305-384-6894. So moderators, if you pin that comment, we got to give them some context if people don't know what the number's for. It's for Dre's daily motivation. So we need context there. Courtney, you just pinned that, but we need context around the number. Nobody knows what the number's for. So it's for Dre's daily motivation, and daily motivation is a hashtag, one word. Then the phone number, 305-384-6894. Let's see. Where was I in the comments? I lost my spot. I'm just trying to find my spot back in the comments where I was. All right, here we go. So Sam is asking, you don't know what integrity means? Loaded question. Will D said, you sound pretty complicit with this administration. What do you mean complicit? Complicit means you're just okay with allowing something to happen. We, every American citizen voted for this administration. When Biden was president, we all voted for that. When Obama was president, we all voted for that. So it's not about anybody being complicit, because once the president gets voted in, they do what they want to do because we chose them to do what they wanted to do. That's the reason why we have an election. We choose that person. They tell you what they're going to do, or at least what we think they're going to do. Then once we vote them in, they get to do what they want to do. That's why we have elections. So it's not about me being complicit because I have no say in what he does or doesn't do after he gets elected. If I don't want somebody to do what they say they're going to do, then I vote for the other person. That's the way it works. So once Trump gets in, it's not about any of us being complicit, because what the hell does it matter what any of us have to say? As far as with regards to whether they do it or not, the answer is it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Sam said, Woody said, Sam down a moral rabbit hole with no consistent philosophy to apply to his position. But a consistent philosophy is, let's find a way to go after Trump. Sam says, not escapism. These comments aren't long enough to make my point. Well, you should get better at making your point. And some of the points that you've made, I'm asking you questions that you can give pretty answers that could fit within a sentence or two, but you're just not giving them. I'm fearing that you are so emotionally engaged in going after Trump that you are incapable of making the logical points, or that you just don't have the logical skill. It could be one or the other. It could be your emotions is clouding your logic, or it could be that you don't have much logic to begin with. I don't know which one it is, but either way, you're not bringing any logic to your comments. Andrea said, Dad did it because it was his son's birthday. And Andrea, I say that's not a good enough reason. If I take my son to a baseball game and he brought his glove, I'm gonna say, there go a ball. You better go get it. What's it being his birthday mean? What's his birthday mean? You take the day off? You can't walk? You walk to get from the car to the stadium. You walk to get to these seats. If you want to go to the bathroom, you're going to walk to the bathroom. If I say you want to go get a pretzel and a hot dog, you're going to walk and go get it. Now he can't walk to go get a baseball? Him being his birthday has nothing to do with it, honestly. I get what you're saying, Andrea, but what does it matter? Carla, thank you for telling people to get the goats. Marky, thank you for the share. Will D said, I'm sure the host will find a way to justify any illegal move this administration makes. Loaded question. It's kind of a loaded comment. I'll give you the loaded anyway. And,
you're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
And this is kind of a ad hominem too.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Carl said, Big Sam is the OG. Yeah, I didn't see him in here today. So he sent a different Sam with the logical fallacies today. Denny1109, thank you for the follow. Indy Valley Girl said, always refreshing with Dre and man, it makes sense. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sherryology said, I'm white. I'm fearful of what will come to all people in our country. Yes, I'm in my feelings. So what do you think is going to happen? Sherryology, what's going to happen to people in our country? DYM said, Trump is our president. That's true. Yes, he is. K-Love said, he's too impulsive. Okay, well, you should have voted for Kamala. And you should have got some other people to vote for her, and then she'd be president, and then you could have Kamala. But the country said Trump. The country had Kamala or Trump, and the country said Trump. That's how elections work. Doc said, I agree with the cutting off the supply chain. I seriously doubt is going to be a deterrent. All right, well, we'll see. I think it is a deterrent because it will stop the next person from getting on a boat. If you think your boat's going to get blown up in the middle of the ocean and you're going to die, would you get on a boat? I wouldn't. I get that the bigger picture is the supply chain, Doc. I understand that. But at the same time, it also is a deterrent to the people who might get on a boat and take some of that supply into those waters. True Sayer said, learned it critical thinking 101 in college. So you went to a college that had a class on critical thinking? What school was that? The school I went to did not have a class on critical thinking. True Sayer said, United Nations may try. Yeah, keyword try. They may try. Nothing's going to happen. They can't make Trump do anything he don't want to do. The president of the United States has ultimate power, generally speaking. Who has more power than the president of the United States? Pretty much nobody. Darla said, the fact that people are throwing a fit over traffickers. Yes, that's what makes it crazy, right? Because it's just about Trump. It's not about the traffickers. Trump said, so when I said, so you saying you can do whatever you want if no one holds you accountable, you said that was a straw man. Let me see. You can do whatever you want if no one holds you accountable. Well, it is a straw man because in context, you're talking about Trump. And Trump can do whatever he wants within the confines of the law as America has them stated. In the United States of America, when you declare a group a terrorist organization, you have a right to do what he did to that boat. Your argument is about, well, you can't do it because it's a crime. Well, it's not a crime because when you declare them a terrorist organization, you can do what he did. What he did is permissible when you're doing it to a terrorist organization. The people on that boat were alleged to be terrorists. He blew them up. You're allowed to do that with that distinction. So that is a straw man. So because you brought it up as if I don't know what I'm talking about, and I think you may be rephrasing and taking out of context what I said, but generally, directionally, your explanation makes sense for what I just said. So I'll give you a straw man again.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Wild Cherry Entertainment, thank you for the share. S&W Farms, thanks for the hearts. Sam said, is it we can do whatever we want because no one will hold us accountable for committing war crimes? Well, who is we? Who's the we you're talking about here? You're talking about the United States? And we can do whatever we want because no one will hold us accountable for committing war crimes. So first of all, it's not a war crime. So you keep posing this loaded question as if it's a war crime. You're trying to get this established, accepted fact that it's a war crime. It's not a war crime. I just explained why it's not. So
you're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Sam, you got to come with a better phrased question and stop calling it a war crime because it's not. I just explained to you why it's not.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Then Sam with the following comment say, you're not an absolutist when it comes to the rules. You just said we can commit war crimes. Well, first of all, we're talking about the law, not the rules. Those are two different things. Breaking the law will get you sent to jail. Breaking the rules just gets frowned upon. Those are two different things. So again,
you're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Sam, the more you talk, the more I'm beginning to assume that you just don't have the logical chops for coming in here, at least not in my live stream, maybe in somebody else's. Now, I thought maybe your emotions were getting the best of you, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's just your logic is just lacking. It's not a personal attack, but I think your logic is just lacking. Michael Horst said, funny how none of y'all had a problem with it when it was the deporter in chief. Who you talking about? Marky Man, thanks for the share. Jam Creations, thanks for the follow. Shariology said, we as a people are not ready for a world with no roles. That's for sure. You mean roles or rules? As a people, rules. I agree with that, Cherie. We are not ready for that as a people are not ready for that, but we might get it. So people better get ready because you won't have a chance. Asking OG said, I own property and I am married to a foreign national. I must abide by their immigration laws. Well, every country has immigration laws. Karina said, young black lady unalived. No, I don't think I know about that. I know about the one that happened in North Carolina. K Daddy said, you, sir, are a role model. Thank you. Asking OG said, Machiavelli. Yes, Machiavelli. Great writer. I'm going to take a few more comments, folks, then we'll wrap this one up. Asking OG said, 50 laws vary. I think you mean 48 laws of power. 48 laws of power. And there's another book called The 50th Law. So you kind of mixed up the title of two different books. Michelle, thanks for the follow. Sam said, one of the laws that was violated was with the boat strike is under U.S. Code Title 14. Well, you had to read exactly what that code is, but I'm not accepting your hand-picked information. You had to put in the comments exactly what the code is if you're saying it was violated. But we can't take your word for it. You already exposed yourself. Sam said, Coast Guard is responsible for maritime law enforcement, not a special ops team. Well, we don't know exactly who did what and who was given jurisdiction, because that jurisdiction can be passed off at different times for different reasons, especially dealing with the terrorist organization. Certain groups can be superseded and overruled by other groups. So again, you're trying here, but no.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Karina said, impulsive, yet they have no idea how long he was planning what. Also true. Sophie said, I heard they're hiring. Who are you talking about? Daniel said, how is being unalive not a deterrent? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Will said, professional fastest apologist. Okay.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Sam said, we know you've never taken a class on critical thinking.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
You display that every day on this app. Okay.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Well, if my critical thinking skills are so off, why are you here? You said every day. So have you been here before? If that's so true, why are you still in here leaving comments? Obviously, there's something here that is keeping you here. What is it? And if you're better at it, then I tell you the same thing I would tell anybody is start your own live. You could do your live at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday, the same time I do my live, and let's just see who draws more people, me or you. I'm here for that competition. Asking OG said, I learned the concept of critical thinking in undergraduate debate class. Yeah, see, my school didn't have those. Sam said, not the special ops, the Coast Guard is responsible for maritime law.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
So, Sam, this is a red herring. Red herring is when you keep changing the subject to find something to be right about because your previous points didn't quite land, so you keep trying different ways.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Okay, so Sam, you got to come with something better. If you can come with a more solid, high-level argument, I will address it. But you keep trying to split hairs here and talk about now. First, you said it was an international war crime. Now you're talking maritime. Now you're talking the ocean. Now you're talking law enforcement in the water. You got to come with something better. All right, this is the opposite of critical thinking and the opposite of logical argument. Karina said the porter in chief was Obama. Oh, okay. Yes, I know a lot of people did call him that. Cosmo Terry, thank you for the follow. Sam said, I'm scared of you indoctrinating people. Well, Sam, you're failing like a motherfucker. I got 120 people here watching right now. Probably a couple thousand overall who watch this. You're failing. So if that's what you're scared of, you better go see a therapist. Now you got a problem.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
So Gil M said, I wish everyone could think objectively like you. David Chadwick said, your points are spot on. Ignore the background noise. Well, the background noise is me reading the comments. So reading the comments is part of the game here. This is part of the game is that I go through the content, then I read the comments and I respond. Whether people agree or disagree, we engage in the comments. This is part of what you do on social media. You engage with the comments. So this is all part of the game. So there is no background noise. So everybody, I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you like this one, come back tomorrow. Topic to be determined. There's a few things happening that we might talk about. They're flaring this whole thing up with J.B. Pritzker in Illinois again. We talked about that last week with the mayor of Chicago, Mr. Johnson. Now the governor of Illinois, Mr. Pritzker, he's coming out and saying that Trump's declaring he's going to go to war on Illinois or Chicago. I don't know if I'll talk about that again. Excuse me. We will talk about Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. He's a potential presidential guy for 2028. He is a Democrat, and he is posturing that Trump can't come into Maryland. And just for the record, Trump can't just send troops into any state unless the governor okays it. So is he actually going to do any of these things? No, most of the time he's just saying it to get people excited. I tell y'all this all the time. He says stuff to get people all excited and get everybody talking about it. He controls the news cycle. Then he goes and does something else while everybody's paying attention to the old thing. He's doing a new thing. That's Trump's game. That's his hustle. He's been doing it for 10 years. Some of you still haven't caught on to the game. And some of you actually know it, but you like to get excited about anything Trump says as if he's actually going to follow through. Why? I don't know. But hey, it's up to you. Do what you want to do. So everybody, what else am I going to tell you? Oh, yeah, let me tell you how to get a couple of my books. I almost forgot. All right. Get my book, The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. Just go to thirddaybook.com. Again, the book is free. Just cover the shipping. Thirddaybook.com. Book that's getting the most attention on mindset is The Mirror of Motivation. Get this one at mirrorofmotivation.com. This is the self-guide to self-discipline. This book is all about how you be the best version of yourself so you can do what you need to do and have what you want to have. Go to mirrorofmotivation.com. Those of you who are more sales, business-minded, business-focused right now, get my book, The Sales Discipline System, the 8 key disciplines of top salespeople in any industry so you can say goodbye to up and down months and inconsistent habits. Get this one at salesdisciplinebook.com. Again, the book is free. Just cover the shipping. We like giving away stuff for free. I like getting on here and knocking down people's logical fallacies for free and talking about current events for free. All we ask is that you like the live, and we'll give you these books for free. We just give everything away for free. So if you like free stuff, you need to stick around. SalesDisciplineBook.com, MirrorMotivation.com, ThirdDayBook.com. You want to get my Monday motivation, which is also called a weekly motivation, or my daily motivation text messages. I'm subscribed to my own text message line. You can see right here, the message just came through. The daily motivation just came in at 8 o'clock a.m. today. It's right there, that message. And then the weekly motivation just came through at 10:06 a.m. We send it at 8 and 10 every day for the daily motivation, every week for the Monday motivation, or the weekly motivation every Monday. This comes at 10 a.m. This one just came through, and the text messages are right there. I'm signed up to my own text list, so I see it. Any of you who's on my text list, you got at least the weekly motivation. If you're not signed up for the daily one, you can sign up. We'll send you a link to, if you want the daily motivation, just text the word daily to that number, and we'll tell you how to get the daily motivation as well. There's a link in my profile that has links to all these books. So if you forgot the links, I just told you the links you forgot. Go to the link in my profile on TikTok. It has a link to a page that has all these books linked on it. Mirrorofmotivation.com, SalesDisciplineBook.com, ThirdDayBook.com. And that's that, folks. Now I gotta go work on the stuff that we get paid for. So I like to do these to get a little practice in the morning, knock out some logical fallacies. All right, this is a good warm up for the rest of the day. Even though I've been up for a while by the time we do these lives. But I appreciate you all. Make sure you are following me here on TikTok. Follow me on at least Instagram or YouTube as well. If you're following on TikTok, you can catch the replays there just in case anything ever happens with TikTok. You can follow me on another app. I'm also on LinkedIn, X, YouTube, Rumble Studio. My name on all of those is Dre All Day. I'm on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, my Facebook page is Work on Your Game University. My Instagram is @Dre Baldwin. And my TikTok is Work on Your Game. I need to go to the bathroom. Everybody have a great Monday. Let's have an amazing week out here. Don't bring any logical fallacies. Actually, bring logical fallacies because you make it fun. I will see everybody tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. We out of here. Work on your game.